In this video, we'll look at how you can run a task flow as an API and pass an input to a mapping task within the task flow. Let's look at a sample task flow. This task flow reconciles retail sales data across geographies and writes the data to a central database for analytics. The data task step of the task flow contains a mapping task. Let's look at the mapping that the mapping task contains. The mapping contains a source that is parameterized. Before we publish the task flow, let's define the allowed groups and allowed users who can run the task flow as an API. Click the Start step of the task flow and click the Start tab. In the Allowed Groups and Allowed Users fields, define the user groups and users who can run the task flow as an API. Click Save to save the task flow. Let's now publish the task flow as a service. On the Actions menu, click the Publish button to publish the task flow as a service. To view the generated REST service URL and the SOAP service URL, open the Actions menu and click Properties Detail. Let's copy the REST service URL. You will need to specify the REST service URL when you run the task flow as an API. You can also view the associated Swagger file and WSDL file. Let's look at the Swagger file for our task flow. The Swagger file shows the operation name, the authentication method, and the input for the task flow. Use the Swagger editor to parse the Swagger file and get the Swagger request. You will need to use the Swagger request when you run the task flow as an API. Here is a sample Swagger request. Let's now use a REST client such as Postman to run the task flow as an API. Select the appropriate HTTP verb and specify the generated REST service URL. Ensure that you have entered the user account details to run the task flow as an API. Specify the Swagger request in the request body. Ensure that you have specified the source parameter value in the request body. Click Send to run the task flow as an API. You receive the task flow run ID as the response. You can use the run ID to monitor the task flow run in the My Jobs page. The instance name uses the format taskflow name -run ID. The task flow has run successfully. You can click View Subtasks to view more information about the execution of individual tasks. If you open the mapping task, you can see that the source parameter value that we passed has been used for the mapping execution. You can also use the Status API to query the status of the task flow based on the run ID. Use this URL to query the status of the task flow. Paste the URL into a browser to invoke the Status API. The Status API shows the details of the task flow execution, including the details of the tasks used within the task flow.